You are listening to a podcast from Camden Community Radio.
www.ccradio.org. With me I have Ed Surname, who makes something called Laugh or Cry TV, and who's now doing some live shows in London, and one of those is going to be in Camden in March. So Ed, how long have you been doing stand-up then?
I've been doing stand-up for about 12 hours.
12 hours, so not very long. What have you been doing?
Well, it was my first gig last night, and it went pretty well. A comedian actually suggested to me to stay away from the topics of abortion, suicide bombing, and paedophilia, so I gave myself a challenge and made my whole routine about all three. But when I actually started this whole thing, the whole Laugh or Cry TV and comedy thing, that's a different answer. I've been doing that for a bit longer than 12 hours because I started when I was 17, and you could argue I started when I was 4, because now the show has taken on the form of documenting my whole life, and it's got out of hand, to be honest, because now it's been on New York TV, it's in Bazaar magazine this month. The selling point of Laugh or Cry TV, which I produced myself, has always been that there's been so many different topics to it. There's stunts, but there's also things like sleeping in bed shops, family incidents, and stand-up was the next logical progression.
What's a family incident?
A family incident, my mum being attacked by a spider, which happens about 4 times a month. I hung my mum's clothes on the gutter of the house and then sold them to people walking past.
Do your family mind being the butt of your jokes all the time?
Well, at first, yes, because they were quite stressful jokes, and I think that they also thought it was like, you know, just messing around, and it was in place of a job. But now it's become my job, and now they see that I'm causing mayhem in a very productive way.
Are they very careful of what you're going to do every time you approach them?
Well, to be honest, there's a lot in the archives of stuff of me doing things to them, but now it's evolved quite nicely away from that. I think they're thankful for that. My family are actually very funny characters, so now it's become like a TV reality series almost.
So who's the funniest person in your family?
Well, I hope it's me, because I'm intentionally trying to be funny, but I think my dad says things naturally, but then my mum does too, and my sister, so I can't answer. I think the beauty of it is that they all have their own little strengths, and that's why it comes across so good, because that seems, people often tell me the stunts caught their attention, but they stay watching for the family things, because it gives it a narrative.
Tell me about the stunts. What kind of things do you do?
Well, my intention, which I have achieved, I think, is to top every category. So a jumping off something is a stunt. I've done a 30-foot bridge jump into boxes, jumped off a balcony and smashed my face on the floor. That's the only time I've been knocked out.
Did you go to hospital?
I did have to go to hospital, yeah. There was a time when I had the local hospital on speed dial. They knew me on a first-name basis.
And what do you do with all your stunts then? Explain. You're filming your family and you're jumping off bridges, and then what happens to all that?
Well, what happens is it gets edited by me into a weekly series. It's called Laugh or Cry TV, and it's online every Thursday. You can watch a new show. It's on laughorcrytv.com. And
so you've just moved into the world of stand-up comedy. Why are you making the transition?
I'm making the transition because the selling point of the show has been that it includes a little bit of everything, and I want to at least try each domain of comedy.
Do you think it's harder, stand-up?
Stand-up is harder in the way that sometimes people come to deliberately try and sabotage the show, like hecklers, and it's a one-on-one live situation. You don't get that if you're producing content online, because the feedback you get isn't instantaneous. I think it could potentially be harder, but since I have only done one gig, I actually quite enjoyed it, and I found it to be actually quite, I don't want to say I find it easy, but it was actually more enjoyable than I expected.
Where were you doing this gig?
This was at the T-Bird Comedy Bin at Finsbury Park. When I heard it was called a comedy bin, I wondered if I'd been booked because the comedy was rubbish. But when I said that to my mum, she didn't laugh, so I thought I'd cut that particular joke out of the stand-up.
You are listening to a podcast from Camden Community Radio.
www.ccradio.org.